What's going on, and welcome into Pels and Whistles, episode number 16, right here on the Believe Network. We are presented now by Bet Online. Glad you can join us. I'm Daniel Salerson alongside Rel Myers. And Rel, and if you're watching on YouTube, Rel does not have the Pelican hat on. It has been
Nope.
retired, shipped off to Salt Lake City, and is probably in a bonfire somewhere. As we say goodbye to it, because the winning streak is done, and the good news is you don't have to play Utah for the rest of the season. The bad news is they swept the season series. See, I know Rel's shaking your head here.
Sad.
What the heck happened?
I'm a sad bird now.
Yeah.
The hat's dead. It's just usually I put it up nicely somewhere. Right now it's just like laying on the desk, like all crumpled up.
You dry
It's
cleaned it. You would, dry
I
it
put it
so
on a special
nicely.
hat hanger, but
Yeah.
today it's just hanging
Today
out on
it's
the
wet
desk.
and it's on the floor and
It's
it's
wrinkled.
ready for a dog to go crumble it up.
It's gonna be covered in dog hair in no time. That was it was a sad two performances. Both of them were very alike in the frustration level. I feel like the first one was more frustrating,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a very good thing. I was thinking about this last night when I made a pit stop for some consolation ice cream on my way home at midnight.
Smart.
And I was thinking it's a really good thing that we don't record these like right after the games sometimes, especially if it's a loss, because I was mad. I would have came in hot.
I think you would have been cursing me out if we did this after a game last night, especially a late one too.
I'd have been doing we do editing a lot of beeps and bleeps and
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
so mad. So mad. Yeah. So it's a good thing I was able to sleep it off. I'm wearing my favorite Pelicans Christmas sweater. My wife hates it. She's like, if I knew you liked ugly Christmas sweaters, I would have gotten you a different one. And I was like, well, I don't like ugly Christmas sweaters. I like it because it's Pelicans themed. So I was excited to be able to wear this because it's a little bit cold outside now.
Yep. I still have my light up Pelicans Christmas sweater
Oh
from the one,
man.
like, it was a classic. I got it
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 years ago maybe, and it's got the
Yeah.
battery pack inside, which changes the lights and how
I
long and
remember that
duration.
one.
The only problem is I worry that I would catch on fire at one point. That battery pack goes haywire on me. So I
You
have to
could
be a little
combust.
cautious. I would combust, and we
You
don't
could
need to combust
combust,
here.
especially
Uh,
after watching the Jazz beat the Pelicans 3 times. I'd combust without the haywire battery pack.
yeah. Jordan Clarkson combusted last night for 39
Oh,
points. That was
what? You
classic Jordan
know,
Clarkson right there.
Jordan Clarkson, I expected, but there is no reason why Malik Beasley should have been open on like every single attempt that he had.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on. So Zion looked really good in both games. I think CJ looked less
He
good
looked
on
better
Tuesday.
he looked
On Thursday, he
better.
looked good.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
looked good.
on Thursday he had what 28 or so points or
Yeah.
something like that. But I don't know. We just we had chances to close it out on Thursday and we just didn't. And then we ended up in that weird situation where we're allegedly goaltending right as the time is about to expire. But I really think we should have had time on the clock when that
Yeah.
happened. But we just got messed up.
CJ McCollum did talk about it after the game, how he kind of put some of the onus on him as he has to lead this team better at the end of
Yeah.
regulation and in overtime. So it's nice to kind of hear that. Obviously, he's not the one to blame for it all. I think obviously
Yeah.
this was more a kind of a team loss. The first one was kind of didn't expect. I didn't expect a blowout to this Jazz team. Look, when you've seen the way the Pelicans play, there are going to be games that there are blowouts as far as losses. We just saw the Bucks last night lose by 40 points
What is
over the
that?
Memphis Grizzlies. I remember you texted me like, we need Memphis to lose tonight. I looked, I'm like, nope, not gonna happen after that one. But
Right. I mean, what an exciting night for them, right? They beat them by 1,000,000 points and then they got to take our number 1 seed from us. So it's just everything was going well for them last night. So I don't know. I think some of my friends said that they feel like it kind of takes the pressure off the Pelicans now to not be the number 1 seed and not have all eyes on them. And I'm like, yeah, but I kind of wanted to keep the number 1 seed. Let's be
right.
honest.
With expectations the way they are, when you saw the winning streak and then they go and lose 2 games like this, do you feel like your perspective changes a little bit, or it's more like, hey, it's 2 games. You still think they're a very good team. I still think
Mhm.
they're a very good team. Just had a couple of bad performances, but I kind of want to see how Saturday goes in the rematch against Phoenix.
Yeah.
But are you kind of like, hey, it's okay, or are you more like there's some issues that need to be resolved?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's some issues that need to be resolved. I see a lot of people giving JV hell, but I don't have a problem with him. I think we need to upgrade our backup bigs, but then at the same time, it's like I don't know if we upgrade them, are we going to give them minutes, or are we just going to keep doing the small ball thing? Last night we got killed on the rebounds.
Hmm.
You can't go in overtime and let those guys go. I don't know, the 3 for 9 or something, but we get only 2 of those rebounds out of the 6 misses. Like it's nuts. So we something's got to change, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we made a move, if we would even change the approach and the strategy as far as um, the small ball thing, which it works a lot of the time, but against Walker Kessler, who's like 7'8" or whatever, it didn't work.
Well, Walker Kessler was getting the superstars treatment from the officials last night. I don't know what was in the
Yeah,
water there. But Walker Kessler getting calls like he was Michael Jordan or something last night. Not sure what happened.
nuts.
But yeah, it is a little challenging for Jonas against running bigs when you have guys that can run the floor. JV
Hmm.
can run the floor, but not as well. And after a little bit, you get a little tired. And so that's where it's kind of disappointing that Jackson's where he's at because he's the
Hmm.
perfect person to hang with some of these guys the way he can run the floor and his athleticism. But the basketball IQ is not there. And I just don't think it's really clicked for him as far as what his role is with this team. So you're right. I mean, I think that is a position that if you're going to address a position,
Hmm.
that's probably the one to address before the trade deadline. But I still like the way this team is rostered. I like everything
Hmm.
about it. I just think they had look ever since I was there. Salt Lake City has always been a place where the Pelicans have not had success,
Yeah.
and I know there's so many different teams along those lines, but I don't know what it is. I mean, last year we talked about it before. They split the two, and it took a Devonte Graham game winning three to win one of
Hmm.
them, and then it was a complete blowout the next night in a loss. And you kind of got sort of like that in these two games, except your overtime thriller turned into a loss. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little disappointing, but I feel like I think Saturday will kind of be a gut check game a little bit. You definitely don't want to go home 0-3 on a road trip. A team
Yeah.
that's contending in the Western Conference, and you have a Phoenix Suns team who I'm sure right after their games in New Orleans last weekend circled that game right back on their calendar,
Yeah.
getting ready for Saturday.
Yeah, I think the good thing looking at the standings is we still have a little bit of wiggle room as far as Denver being behind us. I think we have a game and a half, but we still got 2.5 on Phoenix. So yay for that. But yeah, it would really suck to go 0-3 on this road trip. And I know Phoenix wants their revenge, but we're still not gonna have BI back. Jose took some time off, which I'm sure I think he's gonna play if that player is playing, as he
Oh
likes to
yeah.
say.
He's not missing Saturday. He was probably like, look, let me sit out. If you want me to sit out a game, let me sit out Thursday's game. I'm
Yeah,
playing on Saturday.
yeah. So I'm curious to see what happens come Monday. Are we gonna come out strong against the Bucks? Are we gonna beat the Bucks by 40, or the Bucks can beat us by 40? Like which way is it gonna go?
Hmm. Do you think Jose Alvarado gets the booze in Phoenix? Do you think it's at that point where
Ooh,
he's the one getting booed every time he touches the ball against CP?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, they don't like that guy because he's good. They don't like him because he's good.
Jose Alvarado goes from undrafted out of Georgia Tech to a guy that's getting booed in a big game against the Phoenix Suns. What a change of
Love
events
it.
for turn of events for him. That's
Right?
fantastic though. I love it. I love it. It's gonna be
Uh,
interesting to see how that plays out. Did you see the Mikael Bridges interview with
with JJ?
yeah,
Yeah.
old man in
Yeah.
three?
Yeah.
Talking
I
about he
just
had
saw
no
that one
problems
clip.
with he had no problems with the dunk,
He even
which
said that he did it to us
he did it
last
too. I'm
season.
glad he
Mhm.
admitted that. And maybe he wasn't the one. Look, I think some of it, if we're going to go back a little bit to that little skirmish, a lot of that
Mhm.
started with Chris Paul giving a nice little elbow to Jose, and that's where it all started.
That's
I'm
all
not
it
sure if
was.
everyone had the problem with the Zion dunk as more of it was
Yeah.
CP and Jose going at it, and then people kind of getting in the middle of it.
Yeah. We've seen the kerfuffles from, the unwritten rules being broken and things like that, but that particular like altercation, that one had very little to do with the dunk, and it was mostly the Chris Paul elbow, and then Jose was like, "We're not going to do this," and
Yeah.
then Willie tried to separate them, and then Campaign tried to separate them, and it just snowballed.
And then Willie Green's like, "Hey, Cam, get off him," and he's like, "No, you get
Yeah,
off him." And it was
no,
like,
you get off.
yeah, turned into a little pointing of the fingers there.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. It was crazy. It's gonna be a fun
Oh,
one on Saturday against the
for
Phoenix
sure.
Suns. Remember, Pels and Whistles now presented by Bet Online. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first to market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Bet Online continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, prompts, and futures. Head to Bet Online today or use your mobile device to join today. And guess what? We'll make your first sports bet. We're not going to pick for you, but we'll help you make it. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Maybe we'll have to start giving some betting tips on this show.
Yeah, that's probably a terrible idea. But last night I didn't win any of my little props or whatever that I placed. Sunday though, after we beat the Suns, I had a nice little win. I was like, I'm gonna toss $5 on this, and I won like $50. And we went to that awesome dinner and everything. And so in
Oh,
my head, I
yeah.
was like, yeah, this is gonna pay for the tip. So, but yeah, I didn't win anything last night. I think I did like a same game parlay where I think Zion, it was like a Zion double double and a CJ double double, and the Pelicans win. But I never checked for the stats. I actually Zion didn't get a double double. I know
No,
that for sure. So, and we didn't get the win. And did CJ get a double double? I don't know.
no.
Whatever. It was fine
28
though.
and 6,
Yeah.
28.6 rebounds, 4 assists, 11 25 shooting. Zion 12 of 24 from the field. He was closer, 31. He's
Triple
actually
double
close to a triple
watch.
double.
Triple
31
double watch.
points, 8 rebounds, and 8 dimes for him. It seemed like early on the bench was the one that had to get this team going. As
Mhm.
far as Larry got off to a really quick start, and how about Devontae Graham also got off to a very quick start, and then
Yeah.
quickly fizzled right after that. But it kind of felt like it was the bench that had to step up at the beginning, and then the starters kind of creeped their way into the ball game to kind of keep the Jazz or the Pelicans within striking distance.
Yeah. Last night was one of those games where after we lose, we're like, okay, is this team deep or not? Like, what are we what are we doing here? It's like certain nights, everybody's in double digits, we're winning, everything's great. And then other nights, it's like everybody can't be off on the same night. Like somebody's got to step up. And last night, I mean, hey, Zion got points, CJ got points, they got assists, they got rebounds, whatever. Who else? Like who was the third best last night for us?
It was Larry and Najee with 13 points each. And then
I mean,
Herb with
hey, that's
12, Trey with 12. Trey, at least it looked good that Trey started knocking down some threes, because he was on
yeah,
a stretch there where he was connecting on 3 or 4 threes a night, scoring over 15 points per game. And then he kind of fizzled for a few games. And it was nice for him to get back on track. Maybe that'll help him out for Saturday when you need those threes again.
yeah, we
Um,
need it.
you need Brandon Ingram. I mean,
Yeah.
again, keep in mind you're still without Brandon Ingram, and it's okay when you're 18 and 10 now to be cautious with him. But I
Mhm.
know everyone's just ready. I want to see that lineup out there.
Yeah.
They're talking about it with Memphis too, with Jaw, Desmond Bain, and Jaren have not played a single minute together this
Mhm.
season, which I'm fine with. They can continue to do that for a little, as long as they want. Take their time, Desmond.
They're
Um,
rolling,
they are rolling. They are rolling, but I think they've won 7 in a row now. They've kind of
They have.
taken the page out of a Pelicans playbook, winning 7 in a
Yeah.
row. But here's my thing with, and this is where it's so tough when you have an 82 game season. It's kind of like baseball, but not
Mhm.
as bad when it's 82 games, that you're going to have some of these stretches. And I think because the Pelicans just, the fans and all of us sampled a 7 game winning streak, 10 games over 500.
Mhm.
Immediately the expectations go higher, where you go into every game thinking you're going to win, which is awesome because that's not what it's been like
Yeah.
in the last few years. But then you get on a 2 game losing streak and you're trying to figure out what's wrong with this team, or what do we got to do? And maybe there isn't anything wrong. It just might be that this team had a couple bad games in
Yeah.
Salt Lake City. And it doesn't mean that this team is perfect, because they're far from perfect and no team is perfect. But I look at it more as, I want to see how they bounce back compared
Right.
to worrying about the 2 losses. How do they respond on Saturday against Phoenix in a game that, again, Phoenix is going to be ready to go for. How do you respond on Monday when you get back home and the Milwaukee Bucks are ready for you? Those are
Mhm.
the types of game you face Philly a few times in the next couple of weeks. Like the schedule gets a little bit tougher and you've always had
Mhm.
struggles against some of those teams. This is where I want to see if the Pelicans can get some wins, especially on Saturday against the Suns. That will kind of tell me where they are compared to, yeah, you lost a couple of games in Utah, but it's what's going to happen here. Road trips are always tough.
Mhm.
And the fact that they're taking care of home court shows me that this is a different team than the last few years, because the last couple of years you've been barely going at 500 at home and struggled really
Yeah.
bad on the road. But if you take care of your home business and then maybe try to go 500 on the road, you're going to be a really good team. And so I feel like the Pelicans are
Yeah.
on their way there. Just got to sprinkle in a few more road wins in order to stay up there in the top of the Western Conference.
I saw a complaint last night on Twitter about us being bad on the road, and I was like, well, no, we're one game under 500 on the road, as
Yeah,
opposed to being like
that's pretty good.
one and whatever on the road, you know. So it's the best road record we've had in a while. And the guys who just took the number one seed, they have the same exact road record as us, so they're rolling at home just like we are, and they just barely passed us up. But I was just looking at Memphis's schedule just for, I don't know, for the rest of this month, and I don't know which one of these teams is going to beat them. They play the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Suns. They're on a road trip for these next few games. Thunder, Nuggets, Suns, Warriors. And they come home and play the Grizzlies. And they leave and go to the Raptors. And then they have us on New Year's Eve. Um, who's going to beat them? I don't know. They could go on like a 13 or 14 game winning streak. Who knows? But like I say, anybody can win on any night. And hopefully the next time there's a night the Pelicans play, Pelicans will be that team that wins.
Yeah, so let's look at the opportunity here for the Pelicans coming up in their stretch. Saturday, again, Phoenix Suns. We know what that game's going to be like. Then
Hmm.
again, Monday for the Pelicans, they welcome in the Milwaukee Bucks, which I heard sold out, which is awesome.
Yeah.
A Monday night against Milwaukee being sold out shows what type of team this is, and the fans are really getting into Pelicans basketball so early in the season. Normally, this is, oh, wait till football's over, then people will start showing up to Pelicans game.
Not
Not
this
this year,
time.
which is really awesome. And then you're at home for another game against the Spurs. Should take care of business there. And then on the
Hopefully.
road, Pelicans against the Thunder. Then back home against the Pacers. And then
Hmm.
Timberwolves at home, Sixers at home. And then, like you mentioned, New Year's Eve against the Grizzlies. So there are
Hmm.
opportunities there for Pelicans to win some games. You know, the Timberwolves are without Carl Anthony Towns.
Hmm.
Pacers, I think, are playing pretty good basketball. That's going to be a little bit of a challenge. You've seen the games the
Man.
Pelicans and Thunder have played. Um, but again, I think your goal here, you split Saturday and Monday. Ideally, you'd like to get both. But again, if you hang around 8 games over 500 right now and get BI back and see what this team has, then I think you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. It's just, we just got to keep it going. I think after we lost on Tuesday, I said, look, if we win 7 in a row and then get blown out on the eighth game and then win another 7 in a row, I won't be mad at that,
Right.
because that's what happened. I mean, we lost to Memphis and then we didn't lose again. We took care of business and then got blown out. Let's go, just start another streak. But I mean, I think in the last 10 we're 7-3, something
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, they're still doing really well. I think our expectations just kind of start to get a little bit out of control when they
Yep.
win 7 straight. But um
Which is okay.
yeah,
You got to
it's
enjoy it too.
definitely, yeah, it's not time to hit the panic button or anything like that. But when in games where we see a performance like last night, it's like, okay, we gotta, clearly there's something that we've got to do different. But for the most part, things have been working. So let's look at the positive side of that. But yeah, we just, yeah, we really need Brandon Ingram back. I'm glad to have her back, but I don't really like to take the approach of like, well, we're doing good now, so let's let them rest. Like, look, do we want these guys to like play together and like keep building on that chemistry or not? I feel like we
Right.
should. So it's like, I get the whole, we're winning without him thing, but wouldn't you rather win with him?
No, and
So
I'm sure everyone wants BI back. I'm sure BI wants to play too. But when you have a
yeah,
little bit of a setback too, this is a time where you
it's tough.
take that and say, all right, we got to sit you out for a little bit. Whereas if this is March, April, this gets to the playoffs, bet you that Braden Ingram is saying, I want to be out there. I'll figure it out later. Let's go
Right.
out and play. I mean,
Cut
I
the
don't
toe
think,
off. I'm getting out there.
yeah, let's go. Put it on ice. We'll be ready. I'll sew it back on when I get back after the season's over. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But I think you're right. I think everyone, I'm guilty of it too. You overreact a little bit after losses. You start overthinking, okay, what's wrong with this team when it's really like the Jazz are a pretty good team. I know they've
Mhm.
struggled a lot before these two games against the Pelicans, but they're still a
Yeah.
good team, and you just lost in a tough environment to play in.
Yeah.
And if you start to see more losses, then you start getting concerned and think, all right, what's going on here? But again, I'm more focused on how they bounce back than how they played. And if the bounce back is just as bad as the 2-game losing streak, then on our next podcast we can maybe talk about some concerns. But I'm ready for Saturday. I want to see how they fare in Phoenix and what that atmosphere is going to be like, and how they respond to a Phoenix Suns team who is chomping at the bit to take on this Pelicans team once again. Or maybe they don't care. It seemed like they shrugged off those 2 losses like it's the regular season. I know DeAndre Ayton was like that, but I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Would you have said that if you won both games?
Nope.
Come on.
Nope.
Exactly.
No
So
chance.
we'll see how they respond on Saturday. It's going to be a fun one.
It is. I just need a win. That's all I need.
We need a
All I
win.
need in life. We can win
All
by
right.
half a point. I don't care. Let's win.
All right. Well, we appreciate all those. Telling you, we are climbing up the charts here as far as Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. Thank you so much. Shout out to all those who are listening wherever you may find your podcast. And again, don't forget to click on a rating, and don't forget to tweet at us. Rel, how can folks find you on Twitter?
At my name is Rel _, at the end.
Perfect. At D Salerson is the way to follow me. If you all have any guest ideas, questions, we can do a mailbag one segment or one podcast. Let's do it. We'll be ready to go here, and we'll continue to build on this. But we appreciate all those. We'll be back probably on Monday, getting
Yep.
you ready for the Bucks, and hopefully talking about a Phoenix Suns win. But I hope everyone has a great weekend. Get your shopping done. Don't wait until the last minute. And hopefully, Rel, maybe we'll take the dust off the bird hat and put it back on if this weekend goes well, unless it has already been shipped to Salt Lake City for its farewell goodbye.
It's still in the house for now. We'll see.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Have a great weekend. You've been listening to the Pels and Whistles, presented by Bet Online right here on the Believe Network.